Hit this morning is brought to you by Mosquito Joe. Make outside fun again. Jackson.mosquitojoe.com. You're going to be spending a lot of time on your patio, deck, and courtyard, and you want it to be fun. Stop smacking yourself in the face. Make outside fun again with Mosquito Joe. Jackson.mosquitojoe.com. Out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We've been talking about it this morning. Our next guest got drafted by one of the best offensive minds in the NFL, top three. You know, Sean Payton has done a magnificent job with both quarterbacks and skill people and everybody in the offense. And you look at Marquise Colston and guys, Lance Moore, guys that either weren't drafted or drafted late. Of course, everybody raves about the Taysom Hill experiment. But guys that all of a sudden end up with Sean Payton and become really, really good football players. So I know Tommy Stevens was excited when he got the call from the New Orleans Saints, former Hail State quarterback, drafted by the Saints in the 7th round. And Tommy, good morning. Congratulations, man.
Good morning. I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Now, tell me what was happening, whatever it was, a week, 2 weeks going in. Did you feel like you would get drafted?
It was a crazy process, to be honest with you. I had a few teams that I was talking to. Obviously, not being able to meet with them was a different thing, a different obstacle we had to overcome. So there were a lot of video calls. I was doing a lot of different teams, and going in, I was optimistic about being drafted. I knew that it was going to be late if it was going to happen. Regardless, I knew I was going to have an opportunity somewhere to play in the NFL, whether or not I was going to get drafted or sign as an undrafted free agent. So, I was a little bit at ease with that information, but obviously being drafted was a dream come true, and I think that I'm in the perfect spot.
Yeah, look, what a coach, what a staff. Had you talked to the Saints, Tommy?
Yeah, I talked to them a little bit, and like I said, there were a lot of different teams I was talking to, but I would probably say that the Saints were definitely in the mix as, probably one of the top 5, top 3 teams, honestly, that I was talking to.
Man, that's too cool. Tommy Stevens, former Hail State QB on the Miller Lite guest line. He was drafted by the Saints. Dream come true over the weekend now. Gets to have the opportunity to get coached by one of the best in Sean Payton. And, of course, this is a Saints town, so the Houdat Nation excited about some more local flavor down I-55. Manning Passing Academy. So I know your senior year didn't go like you wanted. I mean, injuries, it's part of the game. When you did play, you had some good production. Did anybody reference the Manning Passing Academy? Because we talked to people that saw you work out there last summer, and they were high on your skill set. Tommy?
Yeah, I think that it was definitely something that helped me going into the season. Not only, I guess, as a player, but as a person. I grew up. I was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, so obviously, that love for Peyton and the Manning family was already very strong, and I was actually able to go to the camp as going into my junior year of high school. So, being able to come back and be a counselor, and my little brother was actually a camper at the camp going into his freshman year. It was awesome. It was awesome. The Manning family treated me and, my family as one of their own, and was able to go there and be able to pick, everyone there's brain and try to take little bits and pieces of their game and add it to my own.
Nice. Are you in Indianapolis or Starkville, or where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm back home in Indianapolis.
Okay. Man, so I just put that, yeah, so you grew up a Colts fan, right? I mean, Peyton Manning and
yeah,
and Reggie
absolutely.
Wayne and
yeah.
all that stuff.
Oh yeah, all the guys, Dallas Clark, Brandon Stokely, Edrin James, all them guys. I was lucky enough to, my dad was very football involved, and so he would always try to, give us opportunities to do things. And I remember specifically when I was I want to say I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. We went out to training camp with the Colts, and we're there. Like I said, I'm real little. It's me, my dad, my uncle, I believe, and Dominic Rhodes, who was a running back, scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He actually separated his shoulder in the camp, and so he was kind of done for the day. And one way or another, I'm not really sure how it happened, but he ended up kind of waving me onto the field, and so I was able to go out onto the field. He gave me his gloves, and we still have those gloves here at the house today. So obviously I was very, very young, and it's a great memory I'll always have.
That's cool. Tommy Stevens with the New Orleans Saints on the Miller Lite guest line. You're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone. So what's your best 40 time today?
My best 40 I ran at my my virtual pro day, you'd call it. I ran 4.49.
4.49, dude. That's flying, man.
Yeah, I was definitely moving, and I got to credit the strength staff, both at Penn State, Mississippi State, and then my trainer in Tampa, Taylor Scott. He was able to get some things out of me, kind of fine tune some details to help me, I guess, get get into the 4.4s, because I had been a 4.5 guy in the past. I ran 4.59 at Penn State, and I ran. Before that, my best was like a 4.53. So, I was getting down, I was getting close, and I was glad. It's actually funny. I ran 4.50 on my first one. It was the best 40 time I'd ever ran. I was pissed. I was upset because I couldn't get a 4.49. So, and I ran the 4.49 on my second 40.
Did Tommy Stevens, Hail State QB, now with the Saints on the Out of Bounds show? Did you who called you, or have you had a chance to talk to Sean Payton at all?
Yeah. It was crazy how it ended up happening. But I was able to talk to Coach. He called me. It was like late 6th round, early 7th round, and obviously the Saints didn't have any picks at the time. And he called me and was talking to me about an opportunity to be an undrafted free agent. And I told him that I had some other opportunities that I had liked, and he said he would call me back. And long story short, the next call that I got was from the GM, and they said they're going to trade up and they were going to take me in the draft. So, it was a crazy experience for sure.
Were you freaked out a little bit when he called you and just started kind of picking your brain as to what you may do?
Yeah, and it was tough. Like I said, I had some other opportunities that I was thinking about pursuing at the time, and so in my mind, I'm kind of sitting there thinking, I was like, how am I gonna, how is it possible for me to turn Sean Payton down? What I mean? Like, how am I supposed to do this? And so when he said he'd call me back, I'm sitting there waiting for his phone call, and I'm sitting in my living room with all my family and friends, and we're watching, and we're kind of at the point where we figured I was going to be an undrafted free agent. And so, I mean, it all happened really, really fast. Like I said, they called back. They told me they were trading back into the draft to make the selection. So I'm sitting on the phone with them, and nobody in the room knows what's happening. So I'm sitting there on the phone. I'm kind of like pointing up at the TV, and it flashes across the bottom. The Texans trade their pick to the Saints, and that's kind of when people started kind of putting 2 and 2 together. So
wow,
obviously it's obviously a great moment for me and my family that we'll remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, were y'all going crazy in the house?
Yeah, we went nuts. We completely destroyed our living room. So.
Oh man, that's great. Tommy Stevens, Hail State QB, now with the Saints on the Miller Lite guest line and ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Blake, you got a question?
Yeah. So this is blowing my mind right now. Tommy Stevens, you got a phone call as a potential undrafted free agent from Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach of the New Orleans Saints. He said, "Hey, we're thinking about signing you as an undrafted free agent." And Tommy says, Coach, I think I'm good. I got better offers. And big balls this guy and says, like, no, I'm good. Like, no, it's okay, Sean Payton. I'm fine.
We may get lunch in the offseason.
Yeah,
Coach.
like maybe we can have a meeting one time.
Or a beer.
And Sean Payton goes, well, damn, I guess I better spend a draft pick, like trade capital. That's how much he values. I just kind of go through maybe you haven't thought about it that way. To me, that's how it immediately jumped out. It's like clearly he values you to a point that he was willing to trade capital to get you, not just bank on the fact that you may be there as a UDFA.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that meant to you, or have you even thought about it that way?
Yeah, no, it definitely meant a lot to me, and that, the way you explained it wasn't exactly how I went about it, but it was crazy because at the time, the teams I would say, I'm not going to name the teams, but there was 3 teams obviously that I kind of seen myself going to, and the Saints were one of them. But at the time that Coach Payton called me, 2 of the teams, including the Saints, obviously were out of picks. And so I actually had a similar conversation in the 5th round with one of the other teams. I was like, hey, I've got some better opportunities. I think I want to go a different direction. And, so I had a similar conversation with another team. And we get to the point where Coach Payton calls me, and it's actually at the exact same time as, the 3rd team was actually making their selection. So in my mind, it was still possible I was going to get drafted by the other team. Obviously, that didn't end up happening. And so, my agent and I had already told, some of these teams that we were probably going to go a different direction. And, so obviously I tried to be, polite, tried to be respectful about it, but it was tough, obviously, because, it's Sean Payton that I'm on the phone with. It got to the point where I wanted to be a man of my word, and I wanted to, kind of, be respectful in a way. Obviously, I'd never really gone through this process before.
Sure.
When I said Coach Payton called me back, I actually got a phone call from the GM, excuse me, and he merges the call with Coach Payton, and Coach Payton says, hey, last time I called you, I was asking you to be the Saint, but this time I'm telling you,
Wow.
That's when he told me that they were trading me back in, and they were going to take me. So it was funny because obviously I knew they didn't have any picks. So when he told me that, I was kind of confused. I was like, well, are they going to come kidnap me? I didn't understand. I didn't really understand what he meant by this time I'm telling you, you're going to be a Saint. And obviously then he told me that they're going to trade back in. They were going to draft me. So
wow.
Like I said, awesome story. I'm incredibly thankful that's the way that it ended up happening, and I couldn't be more excited to be a Saint.
Yeah. Well, Tommy Stevens with the New Orleans Saints, former Hail State QB on the Miller Lite guest line. You're listening Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Last year didn't go like you wanted, but, you threw up some good numbers. You threw in limited play and hurt throughout the year. You go for 1,100 through the air, 300-plus on the ground. You threw for 11 TDs, 60+%. Did you think you were kind of robbed or cheated in a way because you felt like, damn, if I'd have been healthy, there's no telling what I could have done?
I wouldn't say cheated or robbed. Obviously being hurt sucks, and it wasn't the way that I guess I pictured it going. But at the end of the day, that's football. There's a lot of worse case scenarios that could have happened while I was in Starkville, and obviously I wasn't able to do I guess what I pictured myself doing, and I was able to showcase what I could do when I was healthy. But obviously that was very, very limited, and I can't hide from that fact. But I don't regret my decision to come to Starkville. I don't regret really anything that happened, because it has gotten me to this point, and this is the dream that I've had for as long as I can remember, and I was able to accomplish it. So I'm a firm believer in things happening for a reason. This is just another step in the journey, and I'm incredibly thankful for everything that I've really gone through to get me to this point.
And you enjoyed your time in Starkville?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Did you enjoy your time in Starkville?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was a short amount of time that I was there, but the Starkville people have always been great to me, and they've always been nice, and I'm incredibly thankful for the relationships that I've been able to build down at Starkville. With me showing up in the summertime and not having a whole lot of time to build the relationship. So I'm incredibly thankful, and like I said, I don't regret my decision whatsoever to go down to Starkville and join Mississippi State.
Have you talked to Coach Moorhead since you got drafted?
I have. I actually talked to him that night, and he told me that he was obviously incredibly proud of me, and we've got a pretty strong relationship. We spent a lot of time together, and he was very fired up, very excited for me, and I always tell everybody he's like a second father to me. He's always been great. I credit him for my growth as a quarterback, because when he got to Mississippi State, when he got to Penn State, I wasn't nearly the quarterback that I am now. I mean, I was struggling as a redshirt. Going through my redshirt year at Penn State, there were also times where I was like, man, do I really even deserve to be here? Like, I mean, sure, a lot of freshmen across the country have. Obviously, going from being the guy in high school to getting thrown into a whole different atmosphere, and everybody on the Penn State team was the best guy at their high school. So I went through some growing pains, but when Coach Moorhead came along, he really showed me how to play the position, and I'm incredibly thankful for that, for him.
Man, that's cool. Tommy Stevens, New Orleans Saints, on the Out of Bounds show, Hail State QB, and big weekend for Tommy Stevens and his family when you get the call from Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis. Holy smokes. Blake, do you have another question?
Yeah, Tommy, I don't know how extensive, obviously, your conversation was with Coach Payton and everything, but the reports from one of our New Orleans insiders that obviously you sent some wide receiver footage to the Saints. Have they talked to you about what you're being brought in to do? And what is your mindset on – I mean, I'm sure you just want to be a football player, but realistically, what is your mindset on playing receiver, playing special teams? How do you expect to be brought in to contribute in year one?
Yeah, we haven't really talked, I guess. I mean, obviously, we talked about it, but the way that they talked to me about it was they asked me what I envisioned myself doing, and I said, well, Coach, I've always been taught from an early age to play multiple positions. And my dad and my uncles, they had me playing. I actually played running back growing up a lot. I kind of outgrew that. It's funny how it ended up working out, because I wanted no part of playing quarterback when I was little. I did not want to play quarterback whatsoever, and I ended up obviously growing into it. I didn't start playing quarterback till like my junior year. And, but anyway, back to the question. I get to the point, Coach is like, how do you envision yourself? And I was like, well, Coach, however I can help. I do view myself as a quarterback, and I think that, my best football as a quarterback is still ahead of me. I do think that I can help out in a lot of different ways. And he agreed. He said that, they're gonna try to do some things that obviously that they've done in the past with Taysom Hill, and continue to help me grow as a quarterback.
What a cool story. What a cool story. All right. Well, look, man, first of all, thanks for jumping on today and hanging out with us. And we wish you continued success. Keep grinding and working. And as soon as this thing passes over, I know you'll be excited to go to New Orleans and start another chapter in the career. Hey, I got to ask you this question real quick. While you were in Starkville, did you ever go to a place called Two Brothers Barbecue Bistro?
Of course I did.
Good man. You're a good man, Tommy Stevens. That's one of our partners and good friends on. It's delicious wings and tacos and everything else that they have there in
Great place.
In the Cotton District. Well, look, congratulations, bud. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care. Tommy Stevens.
Yep.
New Orleans Saints. Hey, who called you today? Sean Payton? Cool.
Dude, who'd you negotiate with today? Oh, I just talked Sean Payton down.
Oh, man. That is a cool – there's so many of those, but we don't hear them.
Yeah.
Because we focus on the first 20 picks in the draft. And there's so many fun, wild, interesting things that go on behind the scenes that as fans, and I'm a fan, that we enjoy, I'm a fan of football.
There were some hurt fans this weekend.
There was.
For one reason or another, pettiness is rampant in North Mississippi. I'll tell you that much.
Smarmy. Congratulations, though, to Tommy Stevens, who stayed the course, continued to do I think you could tell he was pretty aggressive in a good way.
Yeah.
In you got to get your video to people. You got to be willing to talk to him. He's super sharp and well spoken and so on. So
well, you're a commodity. You have to. That's what some people. I don't think
yourself.
You can tell. Like, oh, you don't need to be cocky. But well, it's not that. You got to understand of the however 300 people drafted, there were another 300 who were selling somebody. Hey, I'm better than the guy you drafted.
Right.
You can't not sell yourself. Like that's just not how it works. And like you said, I think that's great. I love that even if he were to never play a down in the NFL, he'll always have this story of how he talked Sean Payton into spending a draft pick on him.
I think Sean
That's
said,
incredible.
You know what? No, I'm not going to take the risk that I may not get him in free agency. I'm going to ask my general manager, because I'm successful, I can do this. Mickey, will you trade back into the 7th round? I want him. He's 6'5". He's 240 pounds. He can run a 4.49, 4.5 40. When he was healthy, he did this, and this. He can spin it, and if you can run a 4.5, that's and he goes to Two Brothers.
It costs
this guy knows what's going on.
It costs you the price of like a McDonald's sandwich.
Exactly.
Essentially, in the NFL, that's what it.
If
it costs you a
roster,
Big Mac.
It's $610,000, which is unbelievable. I've been referencing 400 plus as rookies.
It's
now
the
new
moved up,
CBA is 610 plus expenses. Hey. You hope all these guys make it, but that's pretty cool. So, he made some big plays. He fought injuries, and he didn't have a bad attitude about it. He was like, hey, I got to play a lot of ball. Moorhead made me better. He got to play in the SEC against the best of the best on defense. He made some plays, and he knew to go to Two Brothers Barbecue Bistro in the Cotton District to get great tacos and wings,
and
which
at the
will
end
be
of the
there
day,
soon.
His ultimate goal, which was to make it to the NFL, is still there in front of you. Know what I mean? Like that's still in front.
Yeah.
For all of the things he could be bitter about, he still has the end game is still in front of him. It's still available. It's still reachable.
And think about when you're a fringe draftee, Blake. He kind of talked about the party. I wanted to be at the party in the living room.
They tore that place
because, Sean Payton and Andy Reid and a couple others are the greatest offensive minds in the NFL. Now, hello.
Well, and like you said, when it's a curveball, when you're pretty much mentally prepared for, I have to be an undrafted free agent, which is not, again, like if you get it, even if you get that opportunity, you're better. It's
incredible.
You're better than 10 million other people who didn't even get that. But like you said, there is some, you can't ever take that. Like saying you got drafted is not it's set in stone. It happened. There is no other, so that's cool. That's a cool experience to say I got drafted.
It is.
And then his experience, again, I will never get over. I talked Sean Payton into spending a draft.
Hey, the Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Two Brothers Barbecue Bistro in the Cotton District. They're doing curbside and to go. And soon, like most of our restaurants, they'll be open. You'll be able to go get a cold beer and those taco trays that they have and some wings at Two Brothers Barbecue Bistro in the Cotton District in Stark Vegas. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Don't forget that Kessler Prime is doing to-go and Mud Bugs is doing curbside and to-go, and the show is driven by the Continental Tires at 49 Tire in Richland, Mississippi. Visit 49tire.com. They'll come pick up your vehicle at home or at your office, service it, and so on, and take it back and bring it back to you. We'll see you tomorrow.